Hi everyone, it's Kelly from the Hub. I am here today with Linda Woods Huber. She works at WellSpan and she is a fitness educator, and she's going to talk to us about all these exercise things and fitness stuff that we've been talking about sort of in general with lots of other WellSpan people. So Linda, hello, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me today. This is nice, Kelly.
Absolutely. So we've been talking with people who work in the stroke program, people who work in the diabetes program, people who work in the dietitian program, and everybody's coming back to the same thing. Between diet and exercise, that's where we gotta sort of get our life together. So Linda, this is all the pressure's on you now. How how do we do this? I mean, yellow means reopening where we're at, but some people are staying at home because they're also compromised medically. So how do we do this now? How do we keep fit?
Right. And I understand it's a dilemma. And whenever I ask our classes, well, do you believe that physical fitness is really important in your life, that you should stay physically active in your life, make time for it? They all say yes, hands down. They all say yes. And then I say, well, why don't we do it then? And a big thing is, some say lazy, but some say time is a big thing, is a really big factor. We seem to have had a lot of time during this COVID-19 because we have to stay in our homes or whatever. We could go out if you wear a mask, or you could go out and keep your distance and still do your fitness walk or whatever you do, ride your bike, jog, whatever it might be that you like to do. But we could not go to the gym anymore, if in fact that is what we did. But I think the basic factor of fitness for everyone, any age for that matter, is that we understand the value of just being more physically active than we were the day before. So if I'm a couch potato and I do nothing, then if I just get up and move, get up, walk around my house, go up and down the steps, go outside, garden a little bit, walk around the house, the value to my health will escalate with the more that I do, and the more often, more the being disciplined to do it on a regular basis. We know that CDC tells us that every adult should get 150 minutes of aerobic, and aerobic means large muscles moving for a long range of time. 150 minutes a week of aerobic activity. It could be walking, jogging, riding a bike, skating, something like that, where I'm using large muscles in my body. And I can do it for a fairly long period of time. As opposed to something that's anaerobic, what we call anaerobic, that would be something like strength training, where you can't lift that heavy weight for 20 minutes straight. You do it in repetitions. You do maybe 8 of them or 10 of them, and then you take a rest or a breather and you do it again. But what we're saying is, if we can get everybody out there doing something aerobic, move your body, that we can then make sure that your health will be enhanced in some way. So many benefits to physical exercise or physical activity. And when I say that to some people, they sit there and look at me and say, well, I don't like to exercise. Believe me, after teaching physical education for all those years, I understand that people don't like it. And when we get out of high school, that might be the one thing we're never going to do again, because even the sports kind of end when we get out of high school or college, and maybe you won't participate. So what do we do? And again, I have to emphasize, the smallest bit of movement is better than nothing at all. If I can just get people to get up and get moving, do something. Don't be sitting all the time. There was a statement made by Dr. Butler from the Institute of Aging, really, and he said, if fitness could be packed into a pill, it would be the most widely prescribed medicine in the nation. And that's probably very true. But there is no such animal. There is no such pill that we can take that will give us all the benefits of physical activity than if we just get up and start moving.
So how do we do it? I mean, I would love to have you, show up on an app and say, "Hi Kelly, it's Linda. Time to get moving." That's what I would love. But that just is not the world that I live in right now, although there's probably apps that do that. But for a lot of people, how do you just start?
Well, how we just start is It's not as easy as it sounds, I understand. So I don't want to sound like it's really easy. It certainly is not easy, because what we need to get people to understand is, what are those benefits? There is a YouTube called 23 and a half hours. It is wonderful. It's wonderful. It's a doctor talking, and as he's speaking, he's diagramming words so that if we're a visual learner, we can watch that and really know and remember, what's going on. It's called 23 and a half hours, and it's, I think, priceless, because what it really does is bring it all to light. Like, you mean if I just get out and move a little bit, I can start seeing health benefits? And I would say, yeah, it really is true. Whether it be, I want to lower my blood pressure, I have high cholesterol, so I have to get out there and work. I have to also be concerned about diabetes. Maybe I'm pre-diabetic, and I do have to make sure that I stay physically active. What about my brain? Is my brain alert? Can I remember things very well? Do I have a good memory? Exercise actually will help all those areas, and that's so critical. Heart disease is the #1 killer of females. It's the #1 killer in the United States, and especially with women. And I just think, we got to get out there and get moving. Again, the aerobic movement, like, let's get moving. So when CDC says 150 minutes a week, that sounds like a lot. 150 minutes a week.
Yeah, it sounds like I would never be able to do it.
I know. So where do we start? Well, we start slow. And basically, the FIT principle says that, can we get out there 3 to 5 days a week? If you do 5 at 30 minutes, you're going to get your 150. But 3 to 5 days. And how do I fit it into my schedule? I'm extremely busy. Well, maybe to do my 30 minutes a day, which is a good goal to set for ourselves. I want to try to be active 30 minutes today, away from my desk, being active 30 minutes. We could do 10 minutes when we first get up in the morning, go out, walk around a little bit for 10 minutes. Usually we can afford to spend 30 minutes out of a 24-hour day, which means that 23 and a half hours, as the YouTube says, we will do all the things in our life, including sleeping, eating, whatever we have to do. Can we afford to spend 30 minutes in a special activity to keep us healthy? And that would be fitness. So I would say, if you can't fit in 30, which I understand, if I've not done anything, 30 seems like an awful lot to go out there and do. But I could do 10 minutes maybe when I first get up in the morning, and then maybe at noon, I'll go out and do another 10 minutes, or walk around inside my house if it's too hot to go outside, or it's raining, or it's icy. And then 10 minutes again later in the day. At the end of the day, it's still 30 minutes. The bottom line is, what do you want out of your exercise program? Like, what do you want to get out of it? And that's the first question I would ask someone who I counsel. What do you want? And they say, well, I have high cholesterol, so I want to try to get that down. Well, we talk about nutrition, of course, but I would talk about the fitness part. The other thing, they would say, well, no, I just want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Well, what's doable with fitness? Well, it's what kind of movement do we do that would give us that fitness, that would give us the fitness, but also help us to burn extra calories in a day's time. That's really important to know that we would do that. The other thing is, what if they say, well, I have heart disease and diabetes in my family? Well, then we would talk about, well, then what can you do? What do you like to do would be my first question. Because we all always know, and we always have known, that for someone to stay in a program of physical activity for a lifetime to keep them healthier, they need 2 things. One is they have to enjoy what they're doing. It has to be fun. And also it has to be convenient. Oh, you mean I can fit it in? I can wear what I have on right now and go out for a walk? Yes, you can. It has to be convenient, and it has to be fun. And if it is, it's hard to find excuses sometimes not to do it. It's convenient and it's fun.
Right.
But those are 2 hard things.
I think for a lot of people, I've often found that when I say I don't have time, it's not about that I don't have time. I'm choosing not to have time. And it's a choice. It's a choice.
It really is.
And as much as I get grouchy at myself for making that choice sometimes, but we all have the choice of what we're going to do to fill, you're right, 23 and a half hours. And why can't 30 minutes of it just be this? And you're right. Just taking a walk gets you started into the next level. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. And we talked about the brain a little bit, Kelly. You know,
Yeah.
like what is that little 10-minute walk do for, and we'll talk about stress management at a later time,
Yeah.
but what does it do for our stress management? What does it do for our brain? There's a doctor, John Rady, who is at Harvard Medical School, and he's written a book called Spark. And in Spark, he talks about what does physical activity do for us? What does it do for our kids? That kind of thing. But he relates it all, and we know about the heart, we know about the muscles, but he does it and he relates it to the brain. And he says the real reason we feel so good when we get our blood pumping through movement is that it makes our brain function at its best. And in his view, the benefit of physical activity is more important and fascinating than what it does to the other parts of your body as to what it does to our brains. It turns out that when we move our muscles, that it produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream and then goes into our brain, and it plays a pivotal role in allowing us to remember things as time goes on. Remember what we want to do, remembers what we have to do. So critical. And he said it actually, our brain actually releases neurochemicals, they're called neurochemicals, that synapse in our brain and make them more alert. You know, you probably have heard the saying, if you don't lose it, if you don't use it, you will lose it.
Yep. Yep.
That refers to just about every part of our body, including our heart, including our brain. So it is in fitness, it is like the mantra. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. We got to keep those body parts moving. I always think about if we sit all the time with our feet up watching television, our legs do get weak. They get weak because those muscles aren't being moved enough to keep them strong so that we can walk from here to there and do our everyday activities, which again is called our functional fitness. Functional fitness is critical. Am I physically fit enough to run a marathon or to go out and run a race or go on a long bike ride? Well, I don't know. I'd have to check to see how much can I do. And then if I can't, then I have to start working on that little by little. But to get started, absolutely. A few minutes a day to get us started. And I think a good way to do, for me anyway, a record keeper, is to have a month at a glance calendar and write on there every day, how many minutes were you physically active? And be honest. So I might write 10 in one day, meaning 10 minutes. Then the next day I'll look and I have a big fat 0 written in there because I didn't do anything. And the next day I think I better get out and do my 10 minutes or 15 or 20. And then we elevate it little by little. And hopefully, eventually I have a calendar that shows that I'm being active about 5 days a week for about 30 minutes a time, which is what CDC says is important for our health. Children, on the other hand, kids need to get 60 minutes of vigorous physical activity. Vigorous physical activity, and how many children get that? That scares us as educators very much because of what it does for the body, but also sets in motion some habits that they will develop, hopefully in their lifetime, to be really a healthy individual as they get older. And the brain, what it does for their brain in schools, critical. And you would know that as an educator too, Kelly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even though I taught high school, the kids who saw me after gym class were always much more excited to do stuff than the kids who didn't. So that was I could always tell.
Yep, you can. You really can. And I think about that as I was a health and phys ed educator. I think, if we could just instill, and even classroom teachers, get those kids moving before you give them those PSSAs, all those testings they have to take where their brains are fried and they're stressed out, get them up and get them moving so that we can get their brains moving and their bloodstream really pumping, the heart pumping blood, so that they can do better on those tests and manage their stress better. There's there's a gamut of things that it does for us. But it is important that we understand the value, not only of the heart, which we've been taught all our life, and our muscles, but also our brain and what it does for our brain. Really very, very important. There was a study done and it showed 2 brains of children and a brain that was really quiet and didn't do anything. There was not a lot of activity. The colors in the brain were not real vivid. And then they went out and they went for a 20-minute walk. They came back and they checked the brain again. The colors on that brain for showing the activity of the brain were unbelievable. I mean, so to me, as I taught for all those years, teaching about the muscles and the heart and how important exercise is, now we're starting to do all this other research on brain health. What does it do for our brain health and keeping us healthy? And so it's critical. So hopefully, if nothing else sells people on trying to be a little bit more active than before, maybe it will be that we're going to just be more physically active, because what it's going to do for my brain as I get older, you know, with my mental health and my sociability and also my physical health, of course. Yeah.
Linda, I learned a ton today. I learned a ton. And if I learned a lot, that means everybody who watched it learned a lot as well. So this has been absolutely fantastic. Every little bit, as we have said in every video in wellness, every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
This is great. We will talk to you again next week about stress reduction, which I got to tell you, everybody in the whole county should be watching that one. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kelly. Bye.
Absolutely.